All right. Thank you for everybody's patience. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. Tonight's virtual public meeting outlines the Crosby Township and Mud Drainage Improvements Project. My name is Justin Tran with Friesen Nichols, supporting the Harris County Engineering Department. I will be your moderator for this evening. The Drainage Improvements Project is brought to you by the Harris County Flood Control District and the Harris County Engineering Department. Again, welcome and thank you for joining us virtually today as we take precautions to stay safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. For today's meeting, the Harris County Engineering Department will present the Crosby Township and Mud Drainage Improvements Project, followed by a Q&A session at the conclusion of the meeting. To give a general idea of the project, please look to the screen for a video of the Drainage Improvement Project. There are a few notes for today's meeting. All mics will be muted during the presentation. Submit all questions in the Q&A session by clicking the button as shown in the image. At the end of the presentation, our panelists will be answering your questions live. The panelists answering questions tonight include representatives from the Harris County Flood Control District, the Harris County Engineering Department, Jones Carter, and Friesen Nichols. We have Laura Garza, who is available to translate and answer questions in Spanish. Laura?
Un traductor de español está disponible para preguntas enviadas en español.
Any questions that do not get answered will be documented and responded to at a later date. Questions can also be submitted anytime via email through recovery@eng.hctx.net. We will now begin the engineering portion of our presentation, presented by Glenn Dunlap with the Harris County Engineering Department and David Cornan, the engineer of record.
Thank you, Justin. As Justin said, my name is Glenn Dunlap. I'm the project manager representing Harris County Engineering Department, Recovery and Resiliency Division. This job was designed under supervision of David Cornan, the engineer of record, represents Joan Carter. This project improves drainage conditions within 3 areas within the Crosby Municipal Utility District at a total cost of $2,010,000. The first area is the Runesburg Estate subdivision. Construction will be along Ronita Street, Alpha Lane, Elton Drive, and a portion of Ramsey Road. The second area is the Francis Street swale, which is the Francis Street, Miller Wilson Road. Third area is the Burris Addition subdivision, which is along First Street, just north of Church Street. The first area, the Runesburg Estate subdivision, 21 homes have reported a history of flooding within this subdivision. It's caused by undersized roadway ditches, undersized drainage pipes. The proposed improvements for this subdivision will be a new detention basin on the north side of the subdivision, deeper and wider roadside ditches, better flowing roadside ditches. We'll be replacing the driveway drainage pipes. We'll be upsizing the subdivision's outfall drainage pipe from an 18-inch drainage pipe to 2 30-inch drainage pipes. This picture shows the area where the proposed detention pond is going to lie. It's just north of Alpha Lane, parallels Alpha Lane, just behind the homes there. This is an artistic rendering of the detention basin as you are standing on Ramsey Road looking east. The roadside ditches within the subdivision along Ronita Street, Alpha Lane, and Elton Drive are going to be wider and deeper. This picture is along Ronita Street. The diagram on the left, the red line shows the existing top of the ditch. And the green line represents the ditch after construction is complete. If you'll notice, they'll be deeper and we're going to be widening towards the roadside of the ditch there. This is a profile of the Ronita Street West ditch. It'll show you how the ditches are going to drain better. The existing red line shows you the ditch, bottom of the ditch as it lies right now. It's up and down and water doesn't flow very efficiently. The red boxes are the driveway culverts where they're draining, they're not working all in unison. Some are draining left, some are draining right. They don't allow the water to efficiently drain out of the subdivision. When we're done, the green line represents the flow line. It's going to be a smooth line headed to the north to the right of this picture. And all the driveway culverts are going to work with that new ditch to efficiently drain. Within the subdivision, all the driveway culverts will be replaced along Alpha Drive from Elton Drive to Ronita Street. We'll be replacing Ronita Street and Elton Drive culverts. These culverts will be lower and some places they'll be bigger, some places they'll be the same size. The picture on the left is the existing picture of Alpha Lane. The picture on the right is an artistic rendering of what it's going to look like after. You look at it, they don't look like there's a lot of difference between the two, but put a little circle there showing you the roadside ditches. But if you look on the before picture, the red oval, you can see how that shoulder is real wide. Where on the after picture, that shoulder is going to be a little bit narrower. That's because the ditch is going to be wider. We're going to widen it towards the roadside there. You also notice in the back, on the after picture, you can see the two black dots. That's the driveway culverts. You're going to be able to see the entire culvert now, where most of the culverts in this subdivision are all silted up. The first benefit that I talked about here, we're going to be, after we add this detention ponds, we're going to add two new outfall pipes. They're both 30-inch. They're going to drain from Alpha Lane to the new detention pond. They're going to replace that existing 18-inch, which is on the corner of Ronita Street and Alpha Lane there. The phases for construction are as follows. The first phase will be excavating the detention basin. The second phase, the utility relocations will start. Centerpoint has to relocate some gas lines. The Crosby Mud might have to relocate some water lines. Houston Pipeline has to relocate a gas line. All these relocations are along Ronita Street, Alpha Lane, and Elton Drive. The third phase, after detention ponds and utilities phases are complete, we'll start excavating the roadside ditches. We'll install the drainage pipes underneath the driveways, and then we'll install the outfall pipe that connects the subdivision to the detention basin. The fourth and final phase will replace all the driveways and repair them that are over top of the existing drainage pipes that we replaced. What can you expect during construction? During detention basin excavation, dump trucks will be entering and leaving the site along Ramsey Road. During the utility adjustments, temporary service outages, they will all be coordinated by the utility relocating their service line. During the ditch excavation equipment will be loading dump trucks, which will be hauling dirt out of the subdivision. During the drainage pipe removal and replacement, your driveway will be out of service for a few hours while the drainage pipe is replaced. Also, during the driveway, we'll be replacing the pavement of your driveway. And during that time, the contractor will coordinate with the property owner to give you access to your property. The construction duration for each of these phases are as follows. Detention basin will take 3 months. Utilities will take 2 months. And the ditches, drainage pipes, and driveways will take 4 months. The second area of this project is the Francis Street swale. In this area, 6 homes are reported flooding during Hurricane Harvey. This is due to excessive vegetation in the receiving stream. The proposed improvements will be remove vegetation from the stream and along the banks of the stream, and we'll be removing sediment from the stream. The picture on the right, that green area, shaded area, is the area that will be removing the vegetation from the existing swale there. It starts at Francis Street, heads south to the railroad, parallels the railroad, and comes out onto Miller Wilson Road. The pictures on the left are just showing you along Francis Street and Miller Wilson Road there, all the vegetation that we're going to be removing. This diagram shows you how removing this vegetation is going to improve drainage in this area. That little dash line's the water surface elevation. After we remove the debris, that water, there'd be more volume in the ditch, and that water will be able to flow more efficiently through the ditch, which will be result in lowering the water surface elevation during a storm event. This is a heat map of the area showing you the benefits before and after. The left picture, all the blue and light blue is the flooding during the 100-year storm event. That red and purple is where the swale is. If you look at the picture on the right, proposed, all that blue and white goes away during the 100-year storm event. What can you expect during construction? This swale is going to be cleared in 2 phases. Harris County is going to clear the vegetation within the Harris County easements. The Union Pacific Railroad will clear the vegetation that is along the railroad tracks within their right of way. Expect dump trucks to be entering and exiting the work zone, and the construction duration is 1 month. The third area, the Burris Addition subdivision, 4 homes have reported flooding during Hurricane Harvey in this area. And this is due to damage to an existing storm drain, sewer, inlet, and pipe, and excessive vegetation. The proposed improvements would be 1, to remove the vegetation from the ditch, 2, to remove the damaged drainage pipe, 3, to remove and replace damaged inlet and replace it with a head wall, and 4th, to regrade the ditch to drain better. The picture on the right is the area along First Street that will be constructing these improvements. It's just north of the church there. The diagram on the bottom right, the red oval is the existing storm drain that runs parallel to First Street there. We're going to be teeing into that pipe with a 30-inch pipe and then a head wall. The head wall is just a wall which the 30-inch pipe goes into and allows water to go through so the area won't erode. This wall is 23.5 foot long, 3.5 foot tall. The red lines of that diagram shows you the existing storm drain culvert ditch that is tore up and not draining properly. When we're done, the green line represents the swale. It'll be nice, smooth flowing swale, allowing the water to get into the 42-inch pipe there more efficiently. What can you expect during construction? Again, dump trucks will be entering and exiting the work zone, and the construction duration is 1 month. The benefits to the community of this project. All 3 projects will have flood risk reduction to the area. 22 homes will benefit from these improvements. In the Runesburg Estate subdivision, reduced ponding in roadside ditches. The added detention basin will allow roadside ditches to be deeper, and we'll be reducing the water surface elevation during the 100-year storm event within the subdivision. The Francis Street swale reduces the water surface elevation during the 100-year storm event, and a Burris Addition improves drainage to the area. The construction management team as follows. Myself, I'm the project construction manager. I represent TGI Engineering Consulting. My on-site person will be Hussam Mande, who's the resident inspector. He also represents TGI Engineering Consulting, and the contractor will be determined.
All right, thank you, Glenn. We will now open the question and answer portion for any questions related to the drainage improvement project. As a reminder, you can submit questions in the Q&A session by clicking the button as shown in the image to be answered by our panelists. We have Laura Garza, who is available to translate and answer questions in Spanish. Laura?
Un traductor de español está disponible para preguntas enviadas en español.
Any questions that do not get answered will be documented and responded to at a later date. Questions can also be submitted anytime via email to recovery@eng.hctx.net.
Looks like we got a question from William McMahon. It was my understanding Alpha Lane would have square culverts installed along the road.
No, along Alpha Lane and really everywhere in this subdivision, we're going to have round concrete pipes. They usually are 18-inch in diameter or 24-inch in diameter, and the outfall pipes are the bigger ones at 30-inch in diameter.
Again, anybody attending, please feel free to ask any questions or concerns that you might have. The panelists want to answer all your questions. So if there's anything that you can't think of at the time, you can always submit questions to recovery@eng.hctx.net. Panelists will be available until 7:30 to answer any questions, so please feel free.
Question from William McMahon. I'm confused. We are still going to have open ditches. How deep will they be?
Yes, they're still going to be open. And typically we're going to deepen them 1.5 to 2 foot from where they are right now.
Question from Doris Clark. When will this start?
Right now, by the end of Harris County's fiscal year, we'll have these projects under construction. Fiscal year ends in February. We currently have the design all wrapped up. We're trying to get the utility companies in there to get their utilities relocated right now. And then we're also in the process of signing up the construction contractors. So everything's coming together to get these projects going.
Another question from William McMahon. My neighbor is here with me. She is asking about the mailboxes and the width of the easement between the road and the ditch.
The mailboxes will be removed and replaced by the contractor. If he removes it, he'll put it on a temporary stand, so you'll always have access to your mailbox. The easement within the subdivision along the road, we're not gaining any more easements along the road for the ditch. We're working within the existing right of way. There is going to be one more easement that's 25 foot wide that goes from Alpha Lane to the detention basin.
Two, and I'm not sure, this is Brock Krennick with Harris County. The last question may be referring to the distance from the edge of the road to the top of the ditch, which is typically 1 to 2 feet once we do the widening and the deepening. The goal is to make the side slope still manageable with getting all the sediment that is built up in those ditches out, removed over several years. Get them back to the original condition they were designed to be.
Glenn, I'm sorry, could you speak to that? What was that road that the 25-foot easement would be along?
It tees off of Alpha Lane, about halfway between Bonita Street and Elton Drive.
Okay. We got a question from Danita Holmes. I'm concerned that with open ditches, after vegetation regrows, we will be back to these tragic situations.
Harris County is going to have to maintain these ditches after, but one thing with these improvements, water is going to start flowing better, so they should be silting up like they are right away.
And once the project is completed, then the precinct that is responsible for the particular area will have mowing cycles that they will go multiple times a year to keep the vegetation from getting grown up.
Question from William McMahon. Will this change the floodways?
No.
We got a question from Sherry Andrada. Our home is near Runenberg on Elton. The water runs straight from 90 on the side near the church. The retention pond on Alpha will resolve the flooding coming from 90.
No, but Runesburg roads, we're not going to touch those ditches part of this project. Right now, Elton Drive at the end drains into Runesburg, but we're going to change the drainage on Elton Drive to go towards Alpha Lane and drain down Alpha Lane and out to the detention basin. So any water coming off of 90 through that ditch, we're not doing anything to adjust that.
And to answer Doris Clark's question, yes, you will be able to mow your own ditches afterwards.
All right, we've got a question from Sam Baldwin. Did I understand correctly that our driveways will only be blocked for a matter of hours while the culverts are being replaced?
Yes, that typically while the culvert's replaced, it's just a 2 or 3 hour process. Like earlier, the contractor will be coordinating with you during that time.
If there is a reason that it would take longer than a couple hours, then we will make sure that a temporary driveway is placed in like kind during construction so that you have access to your property while the culvert is being replaced and the driveway is being replaced.
Oh, and earlier we had a question that was asked that was answered before the Q&A session. So I'll just repeat the question and the answer just so that everybody can hear it out loud. This came from Roberta Bernard. I would like to know if the needed drainage work will be done despite the one neighbor who is the obstacle who doesn't want the drainage done. Roberta, the proposed drainage improvements in our presentation are slated to be completed and no obstacles currently exist to completing this work.
Question from Doris Clark. Where the second house on Ronita, where catch all the water flowing from 90, how will this help my home?
On Long Road, all of Ronita now is going to drain towards Alpha Lane also. So the ditch will be at the end, will be pretty close to where it's at, maybe just a little higher than where it's at right now, where it ties into Runesburg. So there's still there, if Runesburg backs up tremendously, it could still come down Ronita.
Got a question from Sam Baldwin. Will the 30-inch line that goes from Alpha to the detention pond be covered?
Yes.
And we will take a look, the county will take a look at Runenberg vegetation issue and sediment issue to see if anything needs to be adjusted as far as mowing cycle or anything to help clear out the area to ensure that these improvements that we are doing continue heading downstream.
We have a question from an anonymous attendee. Can they fully cover ditches level with yards? And that was from Bonnie Strang.
No. Under this current design, it's open ditches.
Now, we do have until 7:30 to answer all of y'all's questions, but I'd just like to reiterate, any questions that you may have regarding the Crosby Township and Mud Drainage Improvements Project, we invite you to contact us at any time via email at recovery@eng.hctx.net. As well as that, a link to tonight's presentation will be posted in the near future to the Harris County website at www.hcfcd.org/SDP.
Got a question from William McMahon. Can you please reiterate how this improvement seems to be directing more water to Alpha Lane and is going to help us in a major storm?
The detention pond behind or on the north side of the subdivision is going to allow more water to flow out of Alpha Lane quicker than the current conditions.
We've got additional question from Bonnie Strang. Will there be an additional meeting going forward?
There most likely will just be a groundbreaking, and I don't think there'll be any more community meetings.
A question from Doris Clark. So can you tell me I won't have high water standing in my yard and garage after drainage is done?
We can't guarantee you because we don't know how big of a storm event. Certain storm events, there's still going to be flooding. But during a 100-year storm event, it's going to improve within this subdivision.
For up to a 100-year storm event, it
Yes,
is going to keep water moving through the ditches and get it into the pond and not store in your all's yards or up into the garages once the improvements are done. Now, if there is a larger storm than that, things that we don't anticipate for, we don't necessarily know what the drainage will do.
We got a question from Danita Holmes. On the corner of Elton, our yards have been washing away. 2 neighbors have listed for sale. I want to stay with assurance that I won't have the same problem after I conduct repairs from the recent October flood.
we'll have to look and see what's washing away there to really answer that. But these ditches, I mean, they're going to improve the storm drain flow alongside the roadway there.
We follow standard Harris County and Harris County flood control standards when designing these projects. So the side slopes are designed such to a no greater than a 3-to-1 slope, which allows for stability along the ditch channel. And then also having a 1 to 2 foot buffer from the road to the edge of the top of bank of the ditch will allow for stability from the road, from it deteriorating away from the road.
Question from Bonnie Strang. How large do you expect the pond to be and how far back will it be from our property?
That pond's about 4 foot deep, and it pretty much runs all the way from Ramsey Road to the west, all the way east to Elton Drive there. And it's on the flood control's property. They'll have at least a 20-foot berm access road around it. And it's going to be back just a little bit past that. So it's probably 20 to 30 foot from your property line where the top of the pond starts.
All right, and it looks like we're getting close to wrapping up Q&A. I'll just start doing a final call for questions here.
A question from Sam Baldwin. Currently, we have cars parking on the shoulder of Alpha, top of the ditch. Will this area be reduced enough to make it too narrow to park there?
It's going to narrow it up some. You'll still be able to park there. I was say just off the top of my head, the shoulder is going to be about 4 foot wide before it really drops and start into the ditch.
A question from Bonnie Strang. I say let's get started ASAP. We need help.
We're working quick as we can to get it going. It's got everything to fall in place and we'll get construction started.
Question from Doris Clark. Will this take us out of flood zone for insurance purposes?
No,
Question from William McMahon. What about mosquitoes? Will this pond hold water, further increasing the mosquito problem?
no, it's a dry pond. So during the storm event, it'll hold water and then it'll slowly let it out.
Question from Danita Holmes. I have sent several letters and thank you for ensuring that you will look into the Elton Drive area.
Will do.
Question from James Truesdale. What are you going to start on first, the pond or ditches?
The pond will have to start first. We'll have to start on the low end where the water drains and then work our way up. So we'll start with the pond, then we'll start with the pipes that connect the detention pond to the subdivision. Then we'll have to start with the ditches from that point on along Alpha Lane, working back towards Elton Drive and Ronita Street, and then proceed from on Ronita Street and Elton Drive towards Runesburg Road.
All right, and I believe this wraps up the Q&A portion of our meeting. Oh, excuse me, sorry, we have one more question.
One more from James Truesdale. Are the current culverts on Runenberg between 90 and Ramsey going to be replaced?
The current one, no, not part of this project.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Again, I'd like to reiterate, we will gladly answer any questions you may have regarding the Crosby Township and Mud Drainage Improvements Project. We invite you to contact us at any time via email at recovery@eng.hctx.net. A link to tonight's presentation will be posted in the near future to the Harris County website at www.hcfcd.org/SDP. Thank you all for your thoughtful questions. This concludes our virtual meeting. Thank you all for attending and have a great night.